Everybody joining in, how you doing? Tonight's Poison here with Drinking Caveman. I'm just excited for this because this guy is the man for live. He does it often, and I'm looking forward to doing a live with him. Having a little bit technical difficulties, that's why we started earlier to get the kinks out of the way, and hopefully we'll be live soon the right way.
Perfect.
Oh, it's these guys. Hey, Whiskey Watch.
All right.
Whiskey Lou, how you doing? Charles, how was your week so far, man?
Yeah, not bad, man. How was yours?
Good, man. Busy. This is like the time of the year for my work, season-wise, that is extremely busy. So always something going on, and try to fit this in. Like I guess I did this on a whim, and to fit 12 personalities on Instagram by Christmas, it's not gonna be easy.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. 12 guys. You can do it though. It's not that bad.
But you're the first one, and I'm like excited for it. Leastai Whiskey, how you doing, man? Whiskey Dickens. I love that name, Whiskey Dickens. Charles, you know Whiskey Dickens?
No, I do not.
I thought you looked like a guy who would know some Dickens.
There you go.
Come on, smile a little.
I'm smiling, man. Don't worry. I'm just trying to check out who else has joined in. I was like, oh, who else is here?
Spirits Devotee, how you doing?
But yeah, hey everybody. Thanks for joining. I'm drinking Johnnie Blue tonight. So I told Jazz, hey, if you got some Johnnie Blue, and he's got a lot more than just Johnnie Blue, so.
Yeah, I was telling Charles earlier that being Indian descent and having a lot of Indian people come in and out of my house, I have a serious collection of Johnnie. Actually, I've gotten rid of about half of it. I used to have a lot more because I got into more and more single malts and whiskeys, bourbons, and stuff, and it's like, okay, you know what? I can't have everything of everything. So I made a conscious decision to go with Macallan's and obviously Compass Box. So I've gone down a little bit on my Johnnie Blue collection over the last couple of years.
It seems like the Asian area or the region and stuff like that is very heavy on Johnnie. Like that's the reason why I picked up Johnnie as well, just living in Asian stuff.
Yeah.
And what was probably 8 to 10 years ago, like that was like the staple. That wasn't like, yes, you got your Macallans and stuff, but Johnnie Blue definitely, like I think it was like around $100 was like probably the most expensive whiskey you had around that time. Besides
that was
collectible
premium,
bottles.
Yeah.
So
and it still is the main brand for gifting. I think around the gifting season between Father's Day and holidays, Christmas. I'm in the industry on the wholesale side, so that is the one that people gift the most. That still moves the most, absolutely. So you got some in your glass already?
Yep, I already got some in my glass.
Cool,
and
man.
And sadly, I can't tell you exactly what year it was, but it was definitely around like 8 years ago. So not the contents, but this bottle was bought like 8-9 years ago.
So everybody watching, if you have a dram, it doesn't have to be Johnnie, whatever it is. The whole idea and the concept of doing this is basically for me to get on live with people I admire, I look up to, I've become fond of over the last year using Instagram, and Charles is definitely one of them. I'm excited to be on live. There's no format really. This is just a casual dram for the holidays and a toast, and get to know each other, and the people coming in online who might not know Charles, might not know me, vice versa, to get to know each other a little bit and talk about just random stuff. So here's the first toast, man. Cheers to you, bud. Charles. Thanks for doing this, man.
Cheers, man.
Cheers. So I have this thing that I do with Johnnie Blue, by the way. I only do this with Johnnie Blue. So you might notice my bottle on the side has markings.
Yep.
Okay. So you see there? So last time I drank it, I marked it here. What I do is Johnnie Blue, to me, is historically was a very aspirational brand. If you're drinking Johnnie Blue, me growing up, seeing my folks and my uncles and stuff, if you're drinking Johnnie Blue, you made it in life, that type of thing. So obviously now we're indulging in even more expensive stuff. Yeah. So what I do is whenever I crack open the Johnnie Blue again, whatever the moment is, I kind of mark it.
Oh,
so
awesome.
Charles,
there you go. I got my name on the bottle.
Yeah, I'm marking it. Today's date is 12/12.
Yep.
And I'm going to put 18. I'm going to put Charles.
Awesome. Yeah, to be honest, you have the same mentality with Johnnie Blue as me, as I had. Like every time I traveled to China and back and forth to visit my dad, in the Philippines, like he always asked me, "Hey, can you get a bottle of Johnny Blue?" Like that was kind of the gift, right?
Yeah.
And you're in the wholesale market. Like the Chinese love giving Johnny Blue out to people, and they love receiving it. So
Yeah.
like back in the day, I was getting like 3 or 4 bottles of Johnny Blue that last me a year. You know what I mean? Like that was kind of like the thing.
Yeah.
Sadly, like as you noted, that whiskey's got more and more expensive. A lot more single malts, a lot more premium brands are putting stuff out there like Macallan, like Compass Bucks, and so on.
Yeah.
So I feel as though that I'm not gonna say it's like snobbed, but it's definitely like shoved a little bit Johnny Walker Blue in the realm of premium type whiskeys for some
Yeah.
people. And like I've heard people make fun of it all the time, like, hey, it's a great blend. I understand there's other things out there, but for me growing up, that like you said, it was the premium brand to have. That was like when someone gifts you that, like they cared. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree with you. Manish says Johnny Walker Blue and Mercedes is like you have arrived. Absolutely. That's
yeah,
VIP from
I agree.
Huarde. How you doing, man? I love you. You're amazing. This guy Huarde, if you guys don't follow him, you gotta check him out. One thing I want to talk about today, while with you, brother, is about holiday gifting because of the time. We're whiskey people, so what do you get somebody who's into the whiskey business? Huarde's on here. He created this for me. This is a Johnny Walker 18 Platinum bottle that I sent him, or you could buy from him. He created a glass out of it. How cool is that?
That's actually like I'm looking at right now. I'm like looking at the Johnny Walker Blue. I'm like, that would be a pretty good rocks glass.
Oh yeah, he makes an amazing one. Huarte will hook you up. HOOARTE. He's here in the chat. If you're still here, say hi. There he is. Most sold glass, Johnny Walker Blue. He says. Thanks, Jazz.
Awesome.
Yeah, he does that, and he does. I'll show you this thing too, which is really cool.
By the way, chat, I'm not ignoring you. I just can't see chat, so I'll have to test this.
Oh, you can't. Okay, so I'll be sure to make sure I point it out. So Huarte carried this for me too. This is a Johnny Walker Blue bottle turned into an LED lamp.
Okay, that's pretty cool. That'd be awesome. Yeah.
And it changes lights, which is pretty badass. Without the flash, it kind of tough to see as Johnny Walker Blue because the light just pops.
Yeah, no, but
really,
you can tell like by the cork stopper and the little dongle thing it has here.
Yeah. Yeah, you can always tell with that, 24-degree angle of Johnny Walker Blue?
Yeah.
So one of my prized possessions I want to show you about Johnny Walker Blue. When you said that we're going to be drinking Johnny Walker Blue. Hey, David's on. Going Morangi. Hardback David, how you doing? David Blackmore, awesome, man. Thanks for joining. We're talking about a little bit of Johnny Walker, just general stuff. But this is one of my prized possessions. I think this bottle is from the 80s, man. Look at this bottle.
I think it's like 80s or early 90s. Yeah, I remember that bottle, but I don't have one of those.
It's a dummy bottle, which is sealed, so it was never filled. But I found one of these in an auction, and I bought it just to have it. And look how far they've come. And obviously, marketing's done a good job. They keep changing it.
For sure. Let me see. Oh, I got this one. All right. Yeah, so I only got 2 bottles of Johnny, and it's both Johnny Blue. So as you can see, that's my favorite. But
yeah.
For me,
hey, I never realized that you couldn't see the comments on the other people's side, huh? So I got to read these to you to make sure.
I apologize. Yeah, I can only see.
Yeah, I didn't realize that because I've always done it on my end. Marl Whiskey joined. Well, you can see the people joining in though, right?
Nope. After the first part of people joining, I couldn't see them anymore.
Oh wow.
I could. How about this? I'll join back in and out. Maybe that would do it.
Huarde, so you're saying you're going to send a Johnny Walker Blue ghost glass to my man Charles? Uh-oh. He got disconnected. I guess he's going to join again in a second. It's a Scotch whiskey, my friend. Let's see. View. Add. Chelo, ¿qué pasó? Hey, everybody logging in. Thank you for logging in. Much appreciated. Skull says badass. I lost you there, brother.
All right, good. All right, so I can see this chat now, and I can hear you, so that's perfect.
Ah, so it was a glitch.
Hey, Whiskey Nart. Hey, yep. How you doing? Yeah, I can see everything flowing now. Yay.
The most important chat you want to hear about is Huartis says he will be glad to send you a Johnnie Walker Blue Ghost, the really rare Ghost glass.
Hey, man, I would love that. That'd be amazing. Thank you.
So you guys coordinate. He's a really good dude, and he'll send it to you.
But yeah, so this Johnny Blue, like, I do love the I think it's called City Series. So
Yeah.
where I grew up in Manila, so they have the Manila bottle, so that was pretty cool.
Yes, that's awesome, man.
And to be honest, like it's nice. It's nice to have. It says here bottle number of whatever, but I love the juice. So if you're gonna give me a limited bottle with the same great juice, it doesn't bother me. So
Yeah.
I have to pick that off. So, but it's just like you said, it's a gift giving season right now, and having this bottle with the amazing box that comes in the presentation. If you care about somebody that you're giving whiskey to, this is definitely a bottle. I think it runs what, 150 now?
Well, depending on the market, in my market, in Jersey and New York, it sells for around 180 at the aggressive retailers, and probably around 200 at the max. But yeah, you're right. I've seen it anywhere from 150 to 200, 160, 200. But it's very rare to find in certain markets, even duty frees for 160 nowadays. Yeah. I've seen it more around Costco's and stuff. 170, 180 is basically what I see it at.
Yeah, it's funny because like when I started buying them, I used to buy them for like 100, and then I used to buy the King George versions for maybe 150, 200. By
the way, that's my all-time favorite.
King George,
all-time favorite. All-time favorite.
To my dad one time, I told him, "Hey, I have no Johnny Blue, but I found this bottle," and his jaw dropped. So.
And what I do is with Blue, there's so much POS out there that I like to collect those. So I've been collecting stuff like that. So this is a piece that I collected for holding my King George, which is pretty dope, which stays in my showcase. Yeah, it's like velvet on both sides. It's pretty dope, and it's heavy. It's heavy.
Yeah, I think the one I got it came with I think some of the rocks glasses and a case and like a sack on it.
Yeah.
But that was
guys joining in and messaging. We're not ignoring you. I'm excited to be talking to Charles, man. I see him live all the time with Scotch and Sniff, so it's just cool to be on. So we're not ignoring you. If you have any questions or comments, please just post again, and we would love to interact and chat with you guys also.
Having Johnny Blue right now.
Yeah, Johnny Blue in her glass. So hopefully you guys have some sort of dram. Happy holidays. That's what this is all about. Charles, man, I want to learn more about you, bro. That's my one of my main things. Like, tell me a little bit about you. Try to summarize it in like 2 minutes about who Charles is, how'd you get into whiskey, and how this Instagram thing happened.
Yeah, so I guess just to start, like my love for whiskey, basically it started off as bringing a gift, Johnnie Walker Blue, to my dad. Every time I used to travel around, duty free, of course, it's cheaper, so it was like an expensive bottle, and then we always used to crack it open and share it. So that was always a fun time. I personally never really understood whiskey. I was more of a rum drinker back then. So it was a bit hot. It was like, oh, so much alcohol. Basically normal things that most people do at the start. And then eventually I just came to enjoy it more. When I moved to the US about 8 years ago, I started drinking more bourbons, got more into that. And then eventually started seeing the trend of different types of whiskeys, fell in love with sherry whiskeys. So enjoyed that a lot. Kind of avoided Macallan. I felt the price point was a bit too high. And then a lot of people in my ear were telling me it was overpriced and try this stuff, try that stuff. And then just went down that rabbit hole and eventually went full circle and then started trying more Macallans and then more of the premium stuff. So that was kind of like my whiskey journey. The way I started was I started posting, I think it was like 3-4 years ago, just bottles of the whiskey that I was enjoying for, like most people, just a record, right? Like, oh, I tried this bottle. What did I think a year ago or 3 months ago? What did I think, how good it was? Yeah. And then started pulling traction. People started liking it. People commented on stuff. Scott Strooper started following my stuff early on. I was like, oh, man, this guy's following me stuff. Yeah, like liking my photos. Then did like this whole
well, you are a good photographer. You gotta get to that part eventually too.
So just basically going through that and then upgrading my camera gear after a while, mostly taking phones on my iPhone. Then got on the show with Scotch Test Dummies. So they invited me to the 12 Hours of Boom 2 years ago.
That's awesome.
So they started me pushing me on going on to YouTube, and then met Wally. Him and his brother split up on their channel, so I DM'd Wally and then said, "Hey, Wally, I'd love to do a show with you." And then we started doing
Was his
that.
brother a Pete lover and Wally not?
Yeah, so we both, and that's the funny thing. Like, we both don't like Pete, but I'm risking it a bit more than he is. He likes the balance of Pete. So
it's funny. So known that he doesn't like Pete that I think everybody wants to tease him about it.
Yeah, it's funny too because like he'll try it, and I've been to events where he's tried like a Lafroig 27. He's tried the Westland Pete and stuff like that. It's funny to see his face. I think that's the reason why everyone wants to see it. But no, he likes balanced Pete. I kind of like to dive off the deep end. I tried some Octomores and stuff. Wasn't my forte, but I could tolerate it. But had an amazing event with Lafroig a couple of weeks ago, and then they had put it in a cocktail, and then they started making me try their select and their blended stuff, so it's pretty fun. But
cool.
That's basically it in a nutshell. And then now just meeting people like you, and to be honest, there's a few times I wanted to quit. You know what I mean? I don't know how you felt about it because it's kind of your job too, right? But like maybe a couple of months ago, I wanted to quit this whole Instagram, YouTube, taking too much time. But it's the community, people like you, Jazz, people like, Eric's, Scotch and Time, Wally, Scotch and Sniff, all those people just bringing events together and bringing people together. I think that's what's really getting me to enjoy it and love it again. I don't, like doing this with you. It's just like, hey, it's not just another like or a comment on a Instagram post. It's actual physical people talking and meeting and kind of want to share their experiences.
I mean, you and I are at home in the comfort of our own homes, and basically like two dudes talking, having a dram, like as if we're at a bar, except without distractions. So it's kind of cool. That's kind of cool.
Like so me and Wally do our show every.
And not paying absurd prices, like $50 for a Johnnie Walker Blue shot.
Yeah, yeah. That's sadly the reason why I haven't been going. Like, I personally have my own bar. I don't have a lot of friends that drink whiskey, so it's kind of like this is all my stuff. So it is kind of sad, but at the same time, it's like I'm sharing a conversation with you right now and a bunch of people over here on Instagram. Every Tuesday, I share with a bunch of people in our chat and Wally. So it's kind of like, hey, this is our little hole-in-the-wall bar where we don't have to pay a lot of money for whiskey because we already did already. So. Yeah,
exactly. Once we get a taste of all the beautiful things out there, it becomes tougher and tougher to go out and spend full markup at a restaurant bar. Not to mention, I mean, we definitely still do it. Like I was at a bar earlier today having a Macallan 12, and the bill came out after two drinks to like $40. But hey, it is what it is,
Yeah, so
it is what it is. But that's you got to balance things out. As you get older, I find that we want to relax a little bit at home because we have a better selection, more things. But at the same time, a part of me like wants to explore new things too. So when I do go out, I do try to indulge in some stuff that I haven't tried before. That's part of the journey.
Yeah, so for me, for bars, it's stuff I haven't tried before, but a lot more it's me doing cocktails. It's me trying to figure out, hey, this would be good in a cocktail because, as you know, we kind of know our whiskeys in the back wall already. So like if we want something sherry, we know where to pick. We want something peated, we know where to go. But with a cocktail and understanding and learning that flavor profile is kind of fun for me right now. So right now I'm asking for different types of whiskey cocktails. Their version of an old fashioned is kind of what I'm going for, or let's say in Manhattan, and trying to figure out, hey, what did you do different? And then maybe I can make that at home if I want an off day or whatever.
Yeah, and put your own twist to it too. That's the key. Put your own recipe to it. That's the key about it, which is awesome. Cool, man. Very cool. I wanted to show people who are watching. If you could chat for a second, I'm gonna get something from the freezer. Yeah.
Okay. So look at that wall, dude. That Macallan wall is crazy. And then he's got Not Luxury Whiskey on there from Compass Box, double single. Got some stuff. But yeah, guys, questions? Let me know. Comment below. You can take me home, dude. It's fine. Take me home. You got a great whiskey selection too, dude. I'll go.
So you guys have seen this stuff here, like the White Walker. I don't know if everybody's seen it. Seen some pictures of it. So basically, this one is room temperature, and I chilled this one in the freezer. And this one, I don't know if you could tell really, but this one's gray, which is room temperature, and it's bluish, the one which is chilled. But on the other side, basically, it creates a message, as you could see. I don't know if you could tell in that, but it says "Winter is here," and that's basically what happens with this bottle once you chill.
It's really
kind of like the Coors Light effect. Yeah, you know what? And it's actually in Jersey. It did really well. Initially, it came out, it was slow to start. It did much better than Jane Walker, and it's sold out. And now they're getting another batch just to get it in before
I heard
Christmas.
that if you put it in the freezer, it gets a little bit slushy, so it's a little bit thick. But people like it. People like it a lot more.
They recommend it. They recommend it. My
But,
favorite of all time Johnny Walkers. I mean, right now this is what I drink when I want to like reward myself. But
Yep.
my all-time favorite is the original Johnny Walker Gold 18, which is basically discontinued. I have some bottles downstairs. I should have taken that out just to show it to you guys. That's been discontinued for 6 years, and I have a couple bottles stored of that. So it got replaced with, it discontinued for 2 years because they couldn't meet the formula. And the story behind it is very similar to this, chilled, but it's at a much higher quality. So it's guaranteed 18-year-old. Minimum age is 18, right, in the bottle. It could be a lot older, too. But basically what it was with Johnny Walker Gold was a family recipe that they used to use for the Johnny Walker family. When people used to come over to their house for dinner, that was their recipe that they used to serve. But you serve it for dessert. What they used to do was they used to have the bottle in the freezer. So for dessert, they will take out the bottle frozen, and they'll serve it. The liquid would be a little slushy, like you said, thicker.
Yeah.
Not slushy, but thick, almost like honeyish, but very, very, very light version of it. And it would just be so stellar. And that's my favorite scotch of all time. Favorite scotch of all time. It's just phenomenal. And I have a couple bottles stored away. When I feel like having it, I'll have it. That type of thing.
That's real cool. Yeah, I had a bottle of old Green Label before it all got discontinued, but I wasn't a fan of that one, sadly.
Yeah, I have that, but I wasn't a fan of that. Some people absolutely love it, and some don't. The other cool thing I started collecting a couple of years ago, and I might continue this year, I kind of paused, I thought about it, and it's just coming out in stores now, guys who like this type of stuff. The Chinese New Year bottles that Johnny Walker Blue has been doing for a while. This year is the year of the pig.
There you go. Yeah.
So that's coming out now. I don't have that yet, but this is the Rooster, which I believe was last year or 2 years ago. I forget.
Yeah, then there was a Monkey last year, I think it was.
Monkey was last year or was it a few years ago?
It was like
it goes by so quick, man.
2 or 3 years ago.
And that's the year of the dog.
Yeah.
They do a really good job with this. Now, the liquid is identical.
Yeah.
The proof and rating is identical. It's just that, they just become collectors. And once you have like a bunch of different ones, like you could collect the cities of the countries, that's cool too.
And I think that's what's great, right? Like, we don't have, like, if you don't have to get it, you don't have to get it. But hey, and I don't think the markup's that high either on the special bottles.
No, usually they go for about the same or 10, $15 more. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what's great about it. It's like the same juice, but you get in a different bottle, and then you can just celebrate. And what's funny is, like, I'm surprised this bottle's lasted me this long. I think it's just because I have a bigger collection now. But back in the day, Blue Label maybe lasted me like 6 months. So I was always buying a new one anyway. So
let's read some of the comments and catch up. Marvel says, "Yep, the Gold 18 is." He agrees to that.
Yep.
Glenn Morangi, David Blackmore says Johnny Walker Platinum is his absolute favorite, which is the 18. It's 18 basically. After the Gold got discontinued, they made the Platinum as the 18, but even Platinum got discontinued. So, who else? You see more comments here. Green Label is not bad for the money, Manish says.
Yep. Then says Jazz Champagne drinking. What's that one?
Yeah, well, Cello and I had a few drinks in Atlanta, so I don't know what you're talking about, but we had some drinks. Somebody's at
2017 was a Rooster, so that was last year's.
Okay, yeah, and I think the dog was prior and the monkey was before. Believe it or not, it just goes by that quick, man.
And to be honest, then there are awesome bottles too. I think they had the city bottles.
Yes.
What else do they have collectors? Because I know it's the city bottles. I think it's like 3 or 4 cities per country, or main country anyway.
Yeah.
And I think they had a 50-year bottle, I think it is, or something like that. A 50-year celebration, or no, was it a Queen bottle for a Jubilee celebration? I think they had one that too. So.
Do you remember these series that they came up with? They didn't do so well, but they came out with this stuff. They started coming with these blends, like a wine cask.
No, I haven't seen those. Were they duty free only, or were they?
No, this was out in the market in specific markets. There wasn't in every market, but there's a wine cask. So I collected a bunch of these. This was every year. There's a blender's batch with triple grain American oak.
Okay.
And then there is a rye cask finish, which they came out with.
That's interesting. Oh, I've seen that one before. I think I've seen that.
Yeah. Which was pretty damn cool. All 10-year, but with, I guess, a little extra maturation. just to give it a little tweak. You know,
What's
they're
that,
basically comparable to a red.
what was it called? That Johnnie Walker for Blade Runner. Was it 2049 or whatever? Yeah, that one. There you go. So Wally says that's probably the best Johnnie Walker's ever had.
It is different juice. It's higher proof, and this is the only time they messed around with the bottle. Now, do you know the story behind the square bottles? Why these bottles are like this?
No, I don't. Go tell us.
All right, so obviously being Indian, I know a little history about my culture and about this. So back in the day, John Walker was the guy who started. Basically, John Walker in the 1920s. I'll give you a very brief version of this. John Walker in the 1920s. His dad died. His dad passed away. He was 14 years old. They had a family farm. They sold it. They got 500 pounds from it roughly, and they opened up a grocery store. That's what he did. He did that for 30 plus years. But a lot of the grocery stores in that village that they were at, they were selling some single malts, right?
Gotcha.
They were selling different single malts. But the consistency on the single malts on a week-to-week or month-to-month basis was inconsistent. So he didn't like that. So he started blending them. Yeah. He had like a little bit of a tea background. I think even Shivas had some sort of a background like this, the Shivas brothers. So it's a very similar story. And he basically created his own blend. And his son, he did this for about many, many years. And about 30 years into doing this, his son, Alexander, is the one who encouraged him to create it into a business. And they finally created it into a business. And it took off. And they started shipping worldwide and stuff like that. That's how it came. But when Alexander came in and the father passed away, he started shipping worldwide because the railroad had come into the town and started going from railroad to ships and started going worldwide.
Yep.
When they started shipping it, the round bottles on a ship, cling, cling, crack, cling, crack. And then the space-wise, it was taking up more space too. So he invented the square bottles because they would move around less, fit perfectly, and not break as much on a ship.
That's smart.
And that's how this square bottle was invented.
And it's iconic now too. So,
yeah. And the reason they did the slanted 24-degree angle label is no matter where you go, if you go on YouTube, I dare you to do this, YouTube Charlie Chaplin bar scene or bartender. Yeah. You'll see in 1920s, 30s, whenever the black and white, no audio, sound, Charlie Chaplins are, you'll see a scene in one of them or two of them, a bunch of them, but the back bar scene, you can't make out any label because it's blur, because that black and white quality was bad. But the Johnnie Walker bottle sticks out because that slanted label. Yeah, and that was the reason that was invented. It was invented because the guy was a marketing genius, Alexander. He wanted the label to stick out. People recognize.
It's funny because like there's people that put giveaways or whatever. It's like, guess what this bottle is? I'm like, if it's just the shape or whatever the label, you can. It's so easy now, since especially if you have a collection, like like all right, it's got to be one of these bottles.
Yeah, so. Yeah. And it's funny when they did the King George, right? They didn't do that label. But if you look closely, they have these in the crystal, in the decanter, they have these cuts. So they don't have the label, but they have that 24-degree angle just to give it that.
And I love that bottle too. It's just a beautiful bottle.
Yeah.
So Jazz, what got you into this, man? Like, what got you into the Instagram? Because I know this is your job, right? But what got you into the whole Instagram game and kind of pushing that way?
So I've been in the industry for wholesale for about 11 years now, and in the alcohol industry. Part of my job is in sales. I manage a team of 11 people who sell all over Jersey, and I go to different events. What I started doing is, I was initially Facebooking and stuff like that, and even before that, I was always into social media. I enjoy marketing. I was into MySpace. I was into Friendster, all that stuff back in the day. So when the Instagram thing happened, eventually, I got tired of all the family-related stuff which happens on Facebook. So Instagram, I found it as an avenue, as if I'm at an event, take a quick picture and post about it. And I started that about 5 years ago because I'm around the industry. I said, I might as well post about it. Yeah. One of my colleagues, who actually at the time was working for Moet, he was into, I'm going to give him a shout out. I don't think he's watching, but he might watch. The guy's name is Ben Tamaron. So I think he was one of my inspirations in the sense because he was the guy that you always see posting stuff on Facebook and Instagram and saying food porn, the steak and the oysters and the clams and all that stuff. He was always posting this stuff. So I was like, I kind of looked at him like, my God, And then I said, I started posting a little bit more of my liquor stuff. I
Yeah.
got encouraged to do more of it. And, 5 years later, I mean, I got more serious about Instagram the last 2 years because of the community. That's what sucked
Gotcha.
me in.
Yeah, I
Just
agree.
common-minded people, conversation, and then obviously learning. I was learning more. I was never into American whiskeys. I got into it the last 2 years, and the last year I've really come around on American whiskeys. I'm really, really enjoying them. But I was always a Scotch guy.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's amazing how like this could just be like another job like Instagram or whatever, but then the community kind of brings it in there and kind of pulls you into that family or that little fold. Like you guys did that whole compass box thing with a bunch of like what 6, 7 people and stuff like that. That was awesome to see that, those little groups coming. Eric's doing those Scotch of Time events and stuff. Like that's just seeing that is just like it's great for the community and makes everyone learn, brings in bottles that you would never dream of, brings in
Yeah,
all the knowledge base of all these companies and stuff like that. It's just
yeah,
amazing learning from them.
yeah, yeah. Brother, not to change
Absolutely.
topics on you, but
Yeah.
I think you and I could talk forever. It seems like, which is cool. But
Usually the case.
you got any holiday picks besides Johnny that you recommend that you've tried something? Have you tried something new recently that you enjoyed that you
So
recommend for holiday gifting or drinking?
for me, just overall 2019, I think my favorite bottle would have to be Macallan Number 4, and that's still available right now. So I think that's probably one of my top picks for this year.
It was a really good one. Yeah, it's really
I was
good. You're right.
surprised, and I'm not a big Macallan fanboy. I'm not in that train, but I bought a bottle and I bought a second bottle the next day. So that definitely showed that
They
like
did,
I
they did
really
a
enjoyed
really
it.
good job. That's my favorite one. It's funny.
Yeah.
People ask me like, "What's your favorite?" And I go 4 and probably number 2 and between 3 and 1. I'm not sure yet.
Yeah.
I'm not
So
really keep flip and flop. Macau
well,
4 is amazing.
yeah, I had number 2, and then everyone's like, "Oh no, number 4 is better." And I'm like, "I don't believe you. I don't believe you." And then I did a side by side, and I was like, "Okay, you're right. Number 4 is better than number 2." So I bought a second bottle of that.
I think they had to do it because they launched it around the same time as the new distillery was launching,
Yeah,
and the new master distiller there. They had something. He had something to prove, so it was his creation, and you have to evolve and get better with time. The product has to
exactly.
only get better, So I think they did a phenomenal job with it. Absolutely,
And
and
then
it's worth it. I think for $100, that
yeah,
one's worth it for $100.
so yeah, I think it's $109 where I am. So it's perfect pricing. Great for a holiday. For the Pacific Northwest stuff, Freeland Spirits has a bourbon that's a 3-year-old and 12-year-old aged in Pinot Noir casks.
Which one
So
again? Say it again. I'm gonna write this one down. I missed it.
Freeland Spirits, their first batch bourbon. So it's MGP. It's 3-year-old with 12-year-old and aged in Pinot Noir casks. And the Pinot
Ooh,
Noir is from Elk Cove, which is a pretty well-renowned
my favorite
distillery.
drinking type of wine is Pinot Noir, so I'm
So
all ears. This is you have
yeah,
some of this.
yeah, I have some. If you want some, I got some. So I'll send you some.
If you could send me a small sample, I would love to
More,
try it.
more
I
than
would love to
happy.
try it, and I'll buy it. That sounds just like up my alley.
Yep. And then for bourbons, what other bourbons are there that I was really excited about? Hmm. It's been hard this year. I think Scotch has kind of run the gambit to this year. It was mostly Scotches for me. I bought like the Hibiki bottle painted, but that's more for the bottle than anything.
Yeah. What'd you think about the Nika from the barrel?
I enjoyed it, but I've had it a couple of years ago when my buddies went to Japan. So it's the same juice, so it's great. Is it the best whiskey of the year? I don't know, but if you like it, you like it. It's a hot Japanese one, but when I see Japanese whiskey, I see delicate and underlining sweeter notes. So it's a bit different for me.
Yeah.
Personal opinion.
Have you been seeing all this stuff coming out now with the touch of Mizunara cast? For example, Chivas came out with a Scotch, which is falls between the 12-year and the 18-year, and it's extra matured and finished off in a Mizunara cask. Then there is that. There you go. And it's funny. I thought of that because you talked about that Japanese elegance,
Yep.
and it's funny. It's not entirely aged in a Mizunara cask, but it has
Yeah.
that taste profile. It's actually really good. That's becoming my
Yeah.
favorite Chivas.
So for me, I like the shifts. I do like the Royal Salute, which I have here. But
Glendale Mizunara, good Marble whiskey. Yes.
yeah, yeah, the Gunderlo. That one I tried it with Jason Whiskey Wise,
Yeah.
who's also a YouTuber. He gave that to me, and I got spearmint bubblegum, and that was the weirdest taste I've ever had in a whiskey. But I remember it, and I wanted to buy it. Sadly, I was going to France the next day, so I wasn't able to pick that up because my son to whiskey didn't carry it. So I'm still hunting for a bottle, but I don't want to pay crazy prices for that one. So
Did he give you an open bottle sample or he give you a sealed one?
he gave me an open bottle sample.
You might have spiked it, man, and screwed with your head.
I don't know, man, but it was one of the best and weirdest tasting whiskeys I have. And I don't know if you feel this way, but once you've had, let's say, over 100 plus whiskeys, you go for the weird stuff. You go for something that's different, something that's unique. That's kind of where, yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, please let me know, man. Please let me know.
And David Blackmore says the Mizunara cast Chivas has been around for 5 years in Japan. Listen, David, not everybody gets to travel worldwide like you, all right?
Sorry, man.
We just travel like East Coast to West Coast once in a while, all right, Mr. Traveler?
No, that's what's funny because that's the reason why they wanted to break into that market, and Mizunara was the easiest thing to do. And it's kind of interesting how, from meeting people that go to Japan back and forth, a lot of them love the hot bourbons, but then they don't get sold the good stuff. Like I guess Hibiki 12 ended there first, and then started draining out in the world. So it's like usually happens.
Hey, Charles, if you don't mind, just chat a little bit with the group, and I'm going to grab one last bottle to show to the group.
Yeah.
I'll be back.
What are your suggestions for your 2019 bottle, guys? Like I said, mine's probably Macallan number 4 is probably the non-rare hot bottle for me this year. I definitely enjoyed it. What else did I pick up this year? That was crazy good. Had the Hedonism Compass box. That was really, really good for me, but I know that's been out for a while. And 12 first go now, Jewel, Osco, and the Chicagoland area. Yeah, man, it's so hard for me. So I live in Oregon where it's a buyer for the whole state, so it's very hard. I haven't even seen the 15 revival yet in my state, but I'm excited about that one. Port Cast finished whiskeys. So it's a gold, right?
That's the original, which is discontinued. This is actual liquid gold. It is that good, man.
So what's the years on that one blend?
I'm sorry?
What year is the blends on that? Because I know it tells you like what, 15-year-old or 18-year-old plus?
No, this says 18 on it. So this is minimum age in here is 18 and goes. This is absolutely the best. Glenn Morangi, David says, I was just incredibly impressed with the Game of Thrones Klein Leash bottling. Very, very happily surprised. Good it was. I just got the whole set.
For that one. Yep.
I just got the whole set. I haven't tried it yet. But yeah, this is my favorite. Just liquid gold.
Yeah, I'm sad that I kind of focused on the blue and I never tried the other ones. Like I've tried black because that was always the mixer bottle for everybody.
Yeah.
And that's what's sad. Like, so I don't know how you feel about this, but back in the day, the prices were a lot cheaper. Not many people were jumping on the whiskey bandwagon, and all the available whiskey we could have had. And I just kind of regret, like, no, I went into beers and rums and stuff like that, and not into whiskeys. Now I'm into whiskeys. So.
Yeah. Cool, man. I love trying new things. That's how you evolve.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I'm trying to move more towards bars and stuff that I don't want to buy anymore. And then anything that's different and unique, I kind of like. I know before, like, no, I know what I want. I want sherried whiskey or port whiskeys. That's what I want. But nowadays, it's more like, I'll try it. Is it peat? Sure, I'll try peat. How bad, how good is it? I don't know, but I'll try it.
Steven, how you doing, man? Charles, I know you have your Drinking Caveman pens, which are dope. I love the color of them. They came out really, really nice. Would you care to give away one?
Yeah, sure, man. U.S. only, though.
Yeah, U.S. only. And I got a Johnnie Walker pen, as you guys can see right here. All right, so I don't know. We got to come up with something. Let's see. So I got the Johnnie Walker pen. Let's see, a question. Okay, I got a question. If the first person to answer it on the chat here correctly will get this. What's the significance of King George V, Johnnie Walker King George V? What's the big significance? What was Johnnie Walker family awarded? And that's the main significance why King George V is what it is.
Quick Google.
Yeah, we're the first person to Google it. Charles, you have one of these?
No, I don't, my friend.
All right, I'll send you one.
Thanks, bud. I need to get your address too, by the way.
Oh, no problem.
So Glenmo David said Royal Warrant. What do you want to say?
Royal Warrant is well, of course, Glenn Morangi, David. You don't qualify, man. You're a know-it-all, and you don't need another pin.
You can still get one of mine. I don't care.
All right, yeah, absolutely. You know what, David? I'm gonna send you. I don't think you need a Glenn Morangi one. If you really do, I'll send it to you. No worries. I'll send you tonight's. I'll send you a tonight's poison one, and Charles is gonna send you one of his. Who was the second one though? Hold on. Okay, so Cello was the second one. Cello, I'm gonna send you a Johnny Walker one.
All right,
So
Joe, you got one too, bud. And I was gonna throw in some stickers too, guys. So here you go.
there you go. David, come on, man. You could sport Drinking Caveman and tonight's poison pins. You'll look sexy in it. David is an amazing dude. I was at an event maybe about 3 or 4 years ago. David, I'm talking about you now. It's at Crystal Springs, which was one of the hottest golf resorts in New Jersey. And I was at an event there. The event was winding down. David's known me for a few years. He goes, Jazz, you want a little, special stash when I'm closing up? I said, sure. He takes out a Glen Morangi flask out of his pocket, empty and clean, by the way, pours in the Signet in there, fills it up, and gives me the flask.
That's awesome.
I still have that flask, and I have it in my Glen Morangi showcase downstairs with a bunch of different Glen Morangi bottles, David. So thank you. I'll never forget that moment. It was fun.
That Signet's an amazing bottle. I've only had it once, and I wish I bought it, but like that thing is amazing. That chocolate malt in there is just, oh man. By
the way, David is going to be one of my 12 IG guys to have a chat with.
Awesome.
I'm just figuring out the schedule, so hopefully before Christmas, our schedules will meet and allow for David and I to get online and we can talk some Ardbeg, some Glen Morangi, and different whiskey stuff.
Yeah, so like this is how much I like Blue Label. So I got the Whiskey Hatch. He's on
That's
Instagram.
Awesome.
So he did a print for me. So I have that one, Hibiki 12, and Belvini Caribbean Cast on my wall.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Hey, and Charles, before I forget, make sure you DM Huarde. He mentioned to when you were disconnecting and reconnecting, to reconnect, just DM him and he's going to send you, obviously send me your address and he's going to send you that ghost glass.
Yeah, Cleo and Glenmo David, man, just send me your information. If not, and I'll send you guys the pins and the stickers, guys.
So, in closing, anything else? Because I know I can keep going on, but I think we have a 1 hour Instagram thing, and we're pretty much turning up on it eventually in 2 minutes.
Just Jazz, thank you so much. I think everyone in the chat just wants to thank you for your motivational Mondays, man. That it's awesome. I tune into those. And I think it's great. Positivity is definitely a big driver, especially if you're in a business or just in life. Just trying to keep positive. Everyone has those bad days, but it's always nice saying, someone telling you to keep driving, keep going. It's a Monday, it's a new day. So I just want to say thank you so much for continuing that, because I know it's a bit of a pain, especially I know you're driving too. So I'm like, I hope he doesn't fucking die. But thank you so
For
much
some reason, I get my thoughts while I'm driving. As soon as I pull over, my thoughts go away.
I used to live in LA, man. That was kind of like the thing too. You're stuck in traffic all day. You're just like, what do you do? And then you found a great way to kind of motivate everyone else.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. That means a lot coming from you. Thank you so much. Guys, for everybody coming on, Charles, I appreciate you doing this and being the first one. I have a couple more people lined up. I have 12 people lined up. I actually have 14 people lined up. I have to figure out whose schedule is not going to work so I can keep it at 12. If it goes 14, who cares? I'm not specific on science to have it exact, but it's about scheduling everybody in. Let me look at my laptop. Maybe I can announce here who's the next one going to be, because I have not announced it, but the next person so far I have lined up looks to be okay, so I'm going to give you the next 3 people possibly coming on.
Yeah.
I have Real Scotch Dummies.
Awesome.
On Sunday. I also have Denver Liley.
Yeah, Denver, yeah.
Denver coming in also on Sunday, different time. I'll post an exact time later. And then I have Scotch Trooper. These are the next 3 pretty much lined up. We're just going to be chatting like this like I did with Charles, and just bullshitting and talking about whiskey and the holidays.
Keep me company, man. It's all good.
Yeah. Cheers, man. I guess the last little toast. Thank you, Charles, for doing this, and thank you for everybody logging in. Much appreciated. This is all about us as a community. We love you. I've had a great time this past year, and that's the reason why I'm doing this, because this community is great. We have some common interests. Met a lot of great new friends. Actually, in New York, New Jersey, next week we're meeting up. Charles, unfortunately, you're not part of it because we kept the New York East Coast group together. About 15 of us are meeting up to do a holidays toast in person next week. So we're going to be doing that. We'll be thinking of you, Charles. Thanks. Cheers.
Thank you guys very much for joining us. Cheers.
Guys, keep an eye on my stories, and you'll know the next schedule for the next people coming up.
All right.
Charles, thanks, man. Cheers. Let's do this again in January.
Of course, man. Take care, dude.
Bye.
Yeah, bye.